Right, now we...
Hey guys, welcome back to another week of the Cyber Unfiltered podcast. I think that's the name anyway.
You sure?
Yeah, I think that's the name. It's got a name, Cyber Unfiltered. We got Matt and Chris here, and I'm not sure where we're going today.
Not sure where we came from either.
Apparently down the toilet.
Well, I mean, we spent a few minutes talking about you guys wanting to buy me a razor or a park bench. So, I mean, started this off low. It's got to get better from here.
I mean, it's a fair point. Actually, I got a story I want to share. This is pretty cool. Saturday, I went to an event. It's for a company called LightRaise. They are a funding platform for like nonprofits, and they have this Grow initiative. It was super cool. There's a bunch of nonprofits there. I'm actually going to do a cybersecurity workshop in November for them, for the people in that program. But it was so, like, it was just cool to see the nonprofits who are helping all these people out there and how they're working together, trying to figure out how they can grow each other and work together. And this whole initiative on how to uplift them. It does nothing but bring communities up. Mm-hmm. I think we need to highlight that, like bring communities up, much like what we try to do with helping small businesses and helping them stay safe from cyber attacks. These guys are helping nonprofits raise money, which is super important, especially nowadays, right now, especially in the climate that we're in and things like that. Yeah. So I just shout out to them. It was super cool. I'm super excited to.
Nonprofits are a great community. They're also, like our community gets pretty tight. The nonprofit community is even tighter. I see a lot of people flipping between nonprofits and helping them drive those missions forward. And it's needed. And like you said, it's questionable funding for a lot of things, but a lot of these nonprofits are privately funded too. So there's definitely risk in those environments, and they need help. They don't, we're not in the early 90s anymore. It's the times have changed and cyber attacks are way up, and the litigation's even higher.
Yep. And everything, not profits included. You guys aren't nice.
Sue anybody, right?
I mean, one of the early data breaches, one of the early ransomware, as I heard about, was actually a woman that ran a small nonprofit as a dog rescue. I was like, don't hurt the doggies.
That's just rough.
What's going on, Chris?
What? So we're talking about? All right. We wanted to focus a little bit today on critical infrastructure, specifically food. We can talk about a lot of things in critical infrastructure between electricity and water and things like that. But like food is so vital for how much of the country operates, right? Because we all use grocery stores. Not a lot of us grow our food. We rely on grocery stores and things like that. So United Natural Foods is having a slight issue right now. They're the largest publicly traded wholesale distributor of food in the nation, actually in North America specifically. They have 53 distribution centers, and they deliver fresh and frozen products to over 30,000 locations across the United States and Canada. They got ransomware on June 5th. It shut them down.
Great.
Yeah, and they published their 8K because they're a public company, so we can view that, we can read that. And they don't really say much in it. It's like one of the shortest 8Ks I've ever read. But they've engaged third-party assistance, notified law enforcement, things like that. And I think they're back up and running now. But it kind of brings up the point. What if, and we don't want to say this, but like, what if multiple distributors were hit across the nation at the exact same time? And what the impact of that would be on us as a country and us as, our communities and things like that. Mm-hmm. Because we've seen attacks like this before. There's JBS Meats.
A lot of this.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of this with during COVID with the rush on stuff in stores, and the whole supply chain blew up then. So this is going to this would throw a huge wrench into that.
Yeah,
And I
and there
like
was
food, so I'm sad if food doesn't end up where I can buy food. I mean, that's a supply chain issue I can get behind because I like to eat. So,
it's fair.
you know, no food, bad.
But think about the ripple effect of it, though. Even if it wasn't like 3 or 4, what if it was just 2? And what ripple effect that could send throughout our entire economy, our entire nation. And it's really kind of terrifying when you think about it, because we don't know anything about this yet other than what was in the 8K. We know that they do $31 billion in annual revenue, according to them. They have 11,000 suppliers, 28,000 employees. They're the primary distributor for Whole Foods. Now, what impact does that have on Whole Foods? Now, I know Whole Foods is not a traditional grocery store for the average person, but what if it affected all those little community grocery stores and things like that? So it's
Well, if you can't buy their stuff at Whole Foods, they're going to go to the other food stores. There's going to be a rush at those food stores, and somebody's not going to get their bananas this week.
Or, well, they have frozen food too, right? So it's probably going to affect restaurants. It's probably going to affect like all the people that work there. You know, let's say a restaurant's shut down because they can't get the food either, right? It affects all the workers that work there. Then that
might turn into, toilet paper of 2020, panic buying. You know, even if there's enough to go around, it's going to get hoarded by a few quickly. And
a lot of these have been targeted by a group called Scattered Spider, and then they partner with their threat acting group. They do mostly social engineering to get into companies, and then they partner with ransomware operators to deploy ransomware. And they've been very successful around the world in getting into some of these retailers and things like that. So we can kind of transition a little bit here and talk about like, how does this happen, right? How does a company that's doing food distribution, how does this happen to them?
Mm-hmm.
Well, most of these companies are technology driven, right? They have to be. At this scale, they rely on technology for everything. It's fair to say?
Sure. They got their internal technology, but they're, for this is probably no different than any other one we've seen where somebody clicked on a link. It's all, it's all training and, what's the easiest way in? Let's send 10,000 emails and see who clicks.
Yeah. Or in Scattered Spider, they're really good at tricking IT staff or help desk into resetting passwords.
Makes it even easier.
They do a ton of open source intelligence. They'll target people inside the company that they think that they can act like, and they have all the information on that person. Especially with all the breaches that we've had, they have a lot of that information. And depending on if you verify a user when they call in to get their password reset, it's really easy to kind of trick people into doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and once they get that access, they're really, really good at lateral movement, like moving throughout the organization and do a privilege escalation. And then they're really, really good at handing it off for ransomware operators. It's kind of terrifying because they also were the ones behind MGM and Caesars.
Right.
So they've been pretty high profile attacks. M&S too, that's over in the UK that we talked about. Again, they were directly involved in that. So we start looking at this and it's like, what do they do? How do they get their initial access? Well, they either socially engineer their way in, so they trick somebody into resetting a password, or like to Bob's point, they click a link. They can do SIM swapping, where they take over somebody's mobile phone number. So guess what? Maybe your password was leaked and they can figure out what carrier your cell phone is. They have somebody at the carrier to swap that phone over to a different SIM, that phone number, and suddenly they can get your SMS-based authentication. Whoops. Those are two ways that they can get in. And then once they get in, if you use a big product like Okta for like a single sign-on, or Enter ID or Azure AD, whatever you want to call it on Microsoft side, they are experts at that, experts at abusing it.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll do that. They'll get privilege escalation. They'll try to get to admin. They'll do lateral movement. They can abuse Active Directory in general. So if you have a server, a big company like this might have servers on site. They're really good at that. The way that they do some of the stuff though with persistence is MFA fatigue is one of their attacks, where they may know what you use for multi-factor authentication and they just submit credentials over and over again until somebody clicks the button, clicks approve.
Always a way.
Yeah, that's how one of the ways that they gain persistence in the environment. And then of course they're going to create new accounts as well. And then their big thing is just data exfiltration and ransomware deployment. So they steal as much data. In this case, we don't know if they were behind United Natural Foods. Probably not, because like I don't know how much data you're getting out of a food distributor, but and maybe there's more to it than that. But these are the ways that people can get in, and it kind of begs the question: well, what can the average company do to protect themselves? So,
use the training for one.
Sure.
You know,
no, if you get 1,000 MFA requests, just stop paying attention.
Do not pass go. Do not collect anything. You're gonna lose $200 or more.
Sometimes you can set up alerts for those too, depending on.
if you see something, say something here. It's
yeah.
You know, if you're getting hammered with that many requests, you got to pick up the phone and call somebody and say, and don't wait for somebody to call them and say, oh yeah, this is IT. There's a problem with your account. Click OK so we can fix it.
Make sure it's the right people you're talking to.
Also, I think we got to update the way that we train people. Right? It's not just about emails. What if it's voice phishing or phishing?
Sure.
What about real world examples of training people? Teach the staff how to validate the IT requests. Are they validating it? And if they are, is this something that needs to be overhauled? And then, I mean, in these attacks, do you think these companies have security operations that are monitoring these systems? Maybe.
Well, they should.
If they do and they're still getting breached, maybe it's time to find a new one. Do they have an incident response plan? So when something like this happens, do you know what to even do? We spend a lot of time talking about that, like between the three of us. Like, what's the plan? Like, we were talking earlier about playbooks inside. Like, how do you handle certain things? M&S, one of the things that one of their employees said is that they had, that I read, I don't know, I forget how I read it. They said they had no plan. Now, United Food, who knows? We don't know anything about that, but they say their AK, they had a business continuity plan.
Well, they got back up and running at some point, so I can only assume they had something in place, thankfully.
Yeah.
Not so sure about others right now.
Isn't there an insurance company that's doing something weird, Matt?
I was saying for segue, yeah, like there might be a Fortune 500 insurance company that even sells cyber insurance, I think, that is completely off the grid for the last 3 days, and nobody seems to know why. There's really not much information out there.
It doesn't feel like it's just a IT issue and it's 3 days, does it?
No. All we seem to know is that all employees got a text message on Sunday saying, don't come in, you can't do crap. And then they're still down here, towards the end of Tuesday. It sounds pretty significant, whatever it is. But none of us seem to be able to find anything anonymously posted or any kind of ransom notices or anything yet. So this one's pretty in the dark.
It's impressive how tight they're running their ship, because normally
it's actually very impressive. I mean, usually one of us would have seen something posted somewhere we hang out anonymously. Hey, I work there. This happened. Nothing. Dead silence.
I saw some posts that were deleted in some of the places I hang out. So I'm wondering. I wonder if there's some threatening things.
So we'll see which way this goes. Could be a cyber incident. Could be somebody really made a big mistake, because that's a big company to be down for 3 days.
And have business interruption insurance and a good cyber policy.
I hope they don't insure themselves.
Have you seen those business interruption insurance policies though? How little they pay out? Because you have to prove that the cyber attack caused that for like that entire time. So even though you're down for 2 weeks, if they can argue that you should have had a plan or it didn't affect you for 2 weeks, you're still able to make money, they don't pay out. They might pay out just a fraction of what you think you're getting. It's kind of weird. It's kind of interesting how that goes. And it usually does not end up in your favor. ends up in the insurance carrier's favor.
I'm in shock.
I was gonna say, when does any insurance really come out in your favor?
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. When you have to use insurance, it's probably not a good thing, right? Something bad is said to have happened. So
Yeah. Any insurance payout request does not come from a good, source.
it's fair.
Good cause. I'm wording that poorly. Nothing good happens that you want insurance to pay out on.
Fair point.
Hey, gentlemen, why don't we move on to next week and
Yeah,
shut
let
this
us,
down?
let us know what you're doing. Do you authenticate to the help desk that you use? Do you have internal resources for that? In the age of AI, where you can clone anybody's voice, have you thought about that? Let us know. We're
No,
really
maybe we should
interested
do
in
that for when Matt can't be here with us.
Oh, ooh,
You guys gotta make an AI of me.
an AI avatar that we can make say anything.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like
I
this.
tried to take a vacation, and you're getting threats of AI here.
Hmm.
Can't wait to see it.
Do a whole session. It's just AI people, and we aren't even here.
We could do that. We could throw that together.
We
The
could
funny
train
part
it
is-
on the old stuff.
Well, the
Have them
funny part
interact
is,
with each other.
how many people would notice? If we do a good enough job, like it might be kind of hard to notice.
Can try.
Maybe
This one's it. Maybe I'm AI.
Yeah.
Prove I'm not.
Maybe. I don't know. I guess you guys will have to tune in next week. Maybe it'll be completely different. We'll have to see. But
Good week, everybody.
Bye, everyone.